The First Date, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction written and narrated by Eleanor Rose. Artwork by Irina on Tumblr. You can find a link to her social media and her Redbubble store in the description box below. And if you liked this video, don't forget to leave a comment. To help support the YouTube algorithm.
Just get the pink ones. Girls love pink. No, Plagg, it's not that simple. They have to be perfect. This has to be perfect. Seriously, Adrien? Just buy a bouquet and get over there. I'm hungry. You literally just ate. That's the catch. I'm always hungry.
Adrien Agreste rolled his eyes as he shuffled back and forth between the three options in front of him. He was making progress. There were 5 bouquets to choose from half an hour ago, and he was able to whittle the choice down to just 3. Of course, 3 choices were too many. Blush is in style these days, so how about the one on the left? The florist said, gesturing to it for the 3rd time. It had been her recommendation all along, and Adrien was running out of time. Marinette probably wasn't making a big deal out of this like he was, but wow, his heart was racing. One of his best friends, Marinette Dupain Cheng, is Ladybug, Paris' superhero, and she agreed to let him take her out for dinner. How lucky could he be? This kind of good fortune didn't come to cats like himself, and Adrien wanted to make sure he did everything in his power to not mess it up. Then again, perhaps this wasn't good luck. Today happened to be Valentine's Day, after all.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to,
he sighed, giving up on the grand debate. He'd spent more than an hour in the shop, and if he didn't leave soon, he would be late to pick up Marinette. As the florist pulled up the bill, Adrien felt his phone buzz. He froze at the notification. Alia. Alia texted him. That couldn't be good. Was Marinette getting cold feet? Did Alia find out about the date and convinced her it was a bad idea? You know you're just wasting her time at this point, right? Oh no. He was right. There was no such thing as good luck, and he was just wasting Marinette's time for his illusion of grandeur. His phone buzzed again, and he dared not look at it. I mean, this is like the 7th bouquet you've almost bought and then put back. Huh? Adrien whipped around to see Alia sitting at a coffee shop table across the street, waving like she didn't have a care in the world. Oh. He decided to give the worker his card instead of returning the friendly gesture. Yeah, Marinette had absolutely told her about this. Thankfully, it meant this particular endeavor was over, because he wasn't about to change his selection again now that he knew he had an audience. Wait, Nino wasn't with her, was he? He dared not turn around again in case of an extra set of giggles. Okay. Just because she told her best friend about the date didn't mean it was a bad thing, right? Like, maybe she'd just been so excited Marinette had to tell her about it. Yeah, right. She was a ladybug, and although he couldn't imagine a more perfect match, he didn't know how she felt about him. Adrien approached the bakery, palms sweaty despite the cold winter air. It was sunny out, thank goodness, but the wind wasn't a courtesy today. It's not like he planned for an outdoor activity, but Marinette's hair was long now, and she'd probably fuss over it getting messed up when he wasn't looking. Arg, if only he could get rid of this anxiety. Okay, time to knock. Unsurprisingly, Tom answered the door. Okay, cool. It's not a big deal. It's to be expected, right? He was barely 18 and Marinette was 17. He understood. Totally. He got it. 100%. Yeah. This was cool. Not unusual. It was Tom's house anyway. Yeah. Good. This was good. Good. Before he could pass along a greeting, a thump, along the lines of a human body stumbling, echoed from the kitchen.
"You all right, dear?"
Tom called, turning away from Adrian. Somehow, getting attention off from himself was more nerve-wracking than keeping it on. "Yep," a voice squeaked. "Marinette." Adrian felt his face flush at the sound of her voice as a smile spread across his face. He couldn't help it. He couldn't hold a poker face ever since he found out his best friend and crush were the same person. "Okay, love you, bye," Marinette said, coming into sightline in a yellow, golden dress, nearly barreling Adrian out the doorframe as she grabbed his hand to exit her father's presence. He continued to arch his eyebrows until they were downstairs on the cobblestone, out of breath despite a single flight of stairs. Did he miss something? Was he late? No. Too early, perhaps? Or was she so ashamed of going on a date with him that she didn't want her parents to see? No, Adrian, we don't think like that anymore. That's the anxiety talking. Marinette is your best friend, and so is Ladybug. That's not something she would do to you.
"What's the rush, little lady?" he asked,
giving the flowers a once-over to make sure they hadn't gotten crushed in the last 100-some steps before flicking his eyes to hers.
"Did someone step on your tail?"
She smiled like she was uncomfortable, then shrugged. "You know, parents and all that," she said, then turned her back to him. Adrian noticed the goose flesh on her arms before he realized she didn't grab a coat, then felt foolish. He was wearing a sweater, but he was sweating so profusely she'd see through the white undershirt if he offered it to her. Adrian flagged down a taxi instead, despite Marinette's protest. Sure, they were within walking distance, but she wore that dress because she wanted to look cute, right? Then he should accommodate it. And, well, she did look cute. Marinette looked great in that dress, but he didn't know how to tell her without making this any more awkward than it already was. He'd thought himself good with women until now. Adrian was even good with men when he had the opportunity to charm them. But now he was just a klutzy teenager worrying over the stench of his armpits or lack thereof. "This way, Mr. Agreste," the host said, leading the two of them to a private room in the back of the restaurant. "Your server will be with you shortly." Adrian didn't know how to get a conversation going as Marinette perused the menu. Then again, she wasn't suggesting a topic either, but he was the one to ask her on a date, so he should be the one to bring up a subject, right? Or maybe she was... "This roasted pepper looks like a good appetizer," Marinette said. Oh, no. He cleared his throat and shifted in his seat, working up the courage to disappoint her.
"Well, I already ordered for us," he confessed.
"You did?"
"Yeah, sorry. It was kind of dumb."
"I thought you were trying to get rid of ableist words in your everyday lingo," she said, a smirk on her face as she turned her attention back to the menu, perusing its pages. He blinked twice, then nodded.
"Yeah. New year, new me."
And here it's already February. Was she teasing him? Adrian couldn't believe it. Well, actually, yeah, he could. She's Ladybug, and he's her Cat Noir, although she didn't know that.
"Did you make a New Year's resolution?"
Marinette smiled, then set the menu down. I started out my year with an aggressively bad joke. It caught me so off guard, I didn't make a resolution.
Really? That's a shame. I had a pretty good one I told on New Year's Eve.
He told it to her, of course, but she didn't know that. She said nothing in response, acknowledging the busser's presence by taking a drink of water from the glass he just poured. What have you been doing for fun? I haven't seen you much these days, thanks to our internships.
Well,
He cleared his throat.
I've been studying law.
Law? Marinette raised an eyebrow. I didn't see that coming.
It's amazing what a person can do when they aren't required to practice piano 3 to 4 hours a day.
Still, law?
Well, it's not like I'm planning on joining the Legion.
He laughed, attempting to change the direction of the conversation. The whole truth was he was studying American law, not French law. Hopefully, someday, when they catch Hawkmoth, he'd be able to move far away from here and his father.
What did you think I'd say?
I don't know. Origami or something.
I mean, fold me a crane and call me Sadako, but Father already had me study that in 2nd grade.
I mean, so did we, but... She cut herself off as she watched him fold his napkin. Okay, yeah, that's fair. He smiled and tossed it aside, his stomach twisting at the sight of the avocado-cucumber salad the server set down. Yum. Marinette, however, seemed less enthused. Great. This was just peachy. No pun intended for his choice of sorbet to be delivered after the main course. There's not a lot of people here, huh? Marinette said, picking at the topmost avocado slice.
Yeah, they set it up like this every year for Valentine's Day.
Oh. Despite his best efforts, and hers, as far as he could tell, the two of them couldn't get a conversation going. Was this it? Had he ruined the best relationship he'd ever had by getting greedy? Forget the main course. His only hope was peach sorbet. Another 20 minutes dragged by, and Adrien couldn't blame her if she never spoke to him again after this. It was awkward. He was awkward. They were awkward together, and the thought nearly brought tears to his eyes, but he couldn't let them surface. Not here. Not now. They could fall tonight, in front of Plag's meager yet failing attempts to cheer him up before bed. Is that... Marinette began, gasping as they stepped out of the private dining. Is that an aquarium? The start of her stomach made his stomach drop, weighed with fear. Sure, it wasn't a bad thing, but it's hard to roll the rock of anxiety out after a fall like that. Yeah. Taking a moment to compose himself. Are there glowfish?
Are there what?
Glowfish. You know, that glow in the dark or something like that. He hadn't ever heard of such a thing. Oh, no, wait. There's a shark. Never mind. Adrien stared in bewilderment. Wasn't it illegal to have a shark? Even if it was, he couldn't see any in the tank. It was far too small.
Where do you see it? He asked, humoring her.
There! She pointed to a spotted fish. It's an apollid shark. It's super cool that they went with a saltwater tank instead of freshwater. Most people start with goldfish and work their tank around them. That was a shark? Actually, no. That's not what's important. Marinette liked sharks? Or rather, she liked fish? And not as a meal? But as a fixation or hobby? If so, he liked her all the more for it.
Cool, he said. I had a betta fish once.
Really? She lit up at the idea.
and then it died.
Silence passed between them before she laughed. Oh, how he could melt at that laugh. That's how it goes. Marinette tossed him a wink, and Adrien realized that, despite their awkward dinner, he didn't want this to be the end of the night.
Ice cream?
He suggested. From?
Andre.
She shook her head. I don't have a coat.
Oh.
Yeah. Oops. And even if I did, I'm sure he has a line around the block. It was a good point. In hindsight, he should have picked a day other than Valentine's Day for their first date.
That's a shame.
But we can go next time, Marinette said, locking her hands behind her back and leaning forward, as though she held a surprise.
Next time?
His eyebrows shot up.
Oh?
Same time next week? A grin spread across his face.
Aren't you supposed to wait until I walk you home first?
Her face flushed and she shrugged. I like to gamble my luck. How did a cat like him get a bug like her?
Consider the odds in your favor, then, he said,
pleased a taxi pulled up with spectacular timing. As awkward as this date had been, he couldn't imagine a better ending. It was a happy Valentine's Day for him. Thank you so much for listening to this Valentine's Day special. If you would like more Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction, or specifically Adrienette fanfiction, make sure to check out other videos and subscribe to this channel. I'll catch you in the next one!